Rachel, it's the biggest moment in the annual FIFA season. It's the highlight of the year, and it's time to welcome out our finalists. Starting off with the Dutchman representing Team Hullet, it's MANUBACHOORE. At just 18 years old, he is the youngest of the two finalists, looking for revenge after losing the final of the E-Nations just a few days ago. And he scored 19 goals in his last 3 knockout rounds, conceding 10. So scoring 2 for everyone conceded, more or less. It's MANUBACHOORE, welcome to the stage. Going up against Manu is the man from Australia representing Team FUTWIZ. It's MARK11. At just 19 years old, he's certainly no veteran, although he is the oldest of the two finalists, looking to do something unprecedented and become an Australian world champion in FIFA Esports for the first time. It is, of course, MARK11. Welcome to the stage. I'm going to have a few questions with our finalists here before we do the coin toss, starting off with Manu. Manu, we've spoken about this in the lead up to this. In each round, is this the biggest day? Is this the biggest moment? Well, I don't think I need to hear from you that it is, because it's the final of the World Cup. What's going through your head right now?
I'm very happy to be here in the first place because I won in penalty shootouts, which could have easily went the other way. Now I have the chance to become world champion, 1 game away, last game of the season, whatever happens. So I'm going to give it my all, leave it on the pitch, and hopefully it will be enough.
What do you expect from your opponent, MARK11?
Yeah, attack and quality. Like when I watched him against PHC, he was incredible, and defensively he was solid as well. So going to be a good match. Hopefully I could be a little bit better and score more goals, but yeah, we'll see.
We shall see. Good luck to you, my friend. Now, MARK11, Manu mentioned that he was coming through penalties to get here. You also did the same thing. Is there a chance this one could go to penalties?
I hope not. Pen's not good for my heart. I hope I can get it done in 90 minutes, and then whatever happens, happens.
I think we know we've got 2 expert attackers, although you don't get this far without being good in defence as well. Are you expecting quite an open game between you two?
Yeah, Manu's a complete player. He can defend, attack, press, over the top, so got everything in his locker, so I expect a lot from him. Hopefully a few goals from both of us.
Now, neither nation, Netherlands nor Australia, have ever won the FIFAe World Cup before, but for a nation that hasn't got the same steeped history in both esports, FIFA and soccer, football as well, than the Netherlands, is this an even bigger moment than just MARK11 here, a chance to do something for your country?
You're putting a bit of pressure on me now, but I guess, yeah, if I win this, it'll mean a lot to the whole of Australia. All the fans are watching right now. It's like 4 a.m, so I hope I can get the job done for them. If not, thanks for all the support anyways.
Fantastic stuff. Listen, we are set for an amazing final here. We do need to do a coin toss before we get to the final to work out who is going to be the home team in the second leg. So referee James, we've got a blue side and a black side of the coin. Who is what side?
Blue side is MANUBACHOORE, black side is MARK11.
Take it away, please, James. It is the black side, which means Mark will be home in the second leg, and Manu, you'll be home in the first leg. Best of luck to you guys. It's time for the final. It's time to change someone's life and to crown a champion. I'm going to hand over now to our casters, Richard and Brandon.
Thank you very much, Spencer. Yeah, this is the big one now, isn't it? All those matches, all those virtual leagues, E-Champions Leagues, playoffs, it all leads to this one game of FIFA. An E-World Cup, Richard Buckley, that I don't think we'll ever see again, with so many shocks, so many surprises, and this is our grand final. 2 players that have battled their way to be in the biggest FIFA match we've ever seen.
Thousands of hours played FIFA throughout the entire season to culminate in 2 legs to change your life. It really is. The winner takes home $300,000 to call yourself a world champion, an organisation to say we have a world champion player, Team Hullet, FUTWIZ. This is the moment that you fight tooth and nail all the way through the groups, into the knockouts, through penalties, to experience what it is like to take the stage in the biggest FIFA match you will ever play in.
Which only so many players have been able to do, Richard, since we've luckily been involved in this process of the FIFA Interactive World Cup, which then became the FIFAe World Cup, the pedestal of talent, and then this new wave that's come through, 18, 19 years of age, MANUBACHOORE. I mean, for Team Hulle, this has been coming for quite some time. Look at the infrastructure, the investment they've made into so many FIFA players. And on the other side, another organisation has done exactly the same, Richard Buckley. I know you could talk for days on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Team FIFA's, I'm sure Danny's watching right now through his fingertips. He probably can't see the screen. Just the nerves, the amount that he's put into this organisation over the last 7 years of FIFA Esports. To have a player in an E-World Cup Grand Final. He's had players in... Team FIFA's have had a team in the Club World Cup Grand Final and a player representing them in the E-World Cup Grand Final. They've been the MVPs of the 3 World Cups in Saudi Arabia. And probably right behind them is Team Hulle.
Absolutely. What? Dutch runners-up in a Grand Final. Who was in that team? 3 players from Team Hulle and a player in a Grand Final as well. There is history here. Is there a bit of revenge potentially for Emre Yilmaz, who will watch on for his teammate of MANUBACHOORE, player that Mark did beat on his road to get to this stage? I mean, it's just a crazy, crazy situation we find ourselves in now. You look at the names that are in this E-World Cup, but there's only 2 that remain from the 24 that travelled to the Middle East to become a hero. MANUBACHOORE against MARK11 will be this year's FIFAe World Cup Grand Final. One of those names will be world champion. And all we can hope for, as Mark teased, is attacking FIFA from the get-go. MANUBACHOORE, what a save early doors. 4 minutes in, expect that to be the tempo of this Grand Final. Corner. Played the way of MANUBACHOORE. Possession changes hands.
MANUBACHOORE's had 2 games in this knockout where he's blown the opponent away. The round of 16 and then into the quarterfinals. And it was only a heroic second leg performance from RVP that sort of got him back in the tie. He was 6-0 up after 90 minutes against Abu Makr in his round of 16 tie. Both players have the capability.
Oh, Mark! His first sniff in the box. And he leads by a 1-0. The Australian player, who is back against the wall, is just ripping up the script, creating his own narrative.
We've played, what, 6 minutes? An Edwin van der Sar wonder save, and now a goal down the other end, 8 minutes to be exact. This could be one of the greatest E-World Cup Grand Finals we've ever seen.
I think you can forget about penalties in this one. 2 fullbacks going head-to-head. Attacking FIFA on display. Incredible. The #1 ranked player in Oceania, MARK11. What a year he has had. Australian E-League champion. Top 16. Here's Mbappe. Let's go down to ground. Top 16 runs, as we said, with Australia, who did lose to the Netherlands. Remember that on a penalty shootout just last week. And I mean, look, he gave us a story to remember with Hollywood as well in the Club World Cup.
You can't forget Manu subbed in for those penalties to be the sort of decisive role in that shootout.
Bar looking for a second. Oh no!
Wow.
Timed in green. This is a grand final. And he's 2-0 up in 16 minutes.
The way that MARK11 is playing right now, the attacking play, I don't think anyone beats him on the face of the planet. He's playing so quick, so precise. The link-up play. He's 17 minutes into a grand final in what is usually a cagey match, the cagiest of all.
Against the player that's been the highest scoring.
Incredible.
Doesn't feel like this pressure of a match of this magnitude is hitting it by any means. He is just playing free-flowing FIFA. Are we on to see the first ever Australian winner? First ever Oceania FIFA World Champion. does this, maybe they might get a few more spots next year. Maybe it needed a world champion to change the conversation. Mark looking for a third. This early on MANUBACHOORE, no doubt he's just had a knockout blow in the first 15 minutes. He's got to try and regain himself.
They always say matchups make games, how two players can shape up against each other. I think for MARK11, it's a game you know exactly what Manu's going to do. He's going to attack, he's going to come at you, and he's going to try and run up a lead. I actually think in a sort of just a head-to-head game, when you play like that, that probably suits MARK11. However, MANUBACHOORE has shown he can blow people away.
Good chance. Defended again superbly well. You heard Mark say, look, defensively I used to be terrible, but one thing that we saw from him, especially in that PA's game, Richard, that you commented on, just so composed at the back, was not diving into tackles and was able just to match up a mechanical player of PA's quality, in so many moments.
You see what he did there in the corner as well. He was sort of inviting Manu to bring a couple of players out of position to try and open up a space. He's playing also really smartly.
It was heartbreak only days ago for MANUBACHOORE when they lost to Brazil in a E-Nations final. He's going to claw this one back now when Mbappe down the byline cuts it back. Defender just as enough to take a sting out of that one. Van der Sar will get two hands on it easily.
I think for MANUBACHOORE, just if he can get out, this time could be different, by the way. That opening chance, Van der Sar saves it. He could be 1-0 up, and who knows what might have happened. If he can get a goal, whether it's at 2-0, 3-0, just to give him a little bit of confidence in this game more than anything, he can then start to really put the pressure on Mark.
He might find himself in a even worse scenario. Crazy when you think back to last year in Copenhagen, Rich. What was it, a 0-0?
Yeah.
Over two legs.
Over 2 legs, yeah.
Over extra time. Penalties it was to decide last year's world champion. To sit here and think that the prize pot has times itself by 15. Used to be a 20,000 prize pot. Winner took it all. Now 300k just for top spot. In terms of the first place prize, I mean, you could do the maths on $20,000 to 1 million that this year's tournament has also been.
You see Manu ever so slightly just settling into this game. Prolonged period of possession. He's going to end the half on top with a chance. And he's happy to take a free kick, actually.
Last chance of the half for MANUBACHOORE of 2 bullet. To regain some confidence. De Bruyne, edge of the box, step over as well. Not sure what he was looking for there, Pele. Second by the cherry. No, not this time. It's half-time for MARK11. Keep in mind, still 3 halves to FIFA to be played. But what a start for him.
You just saw a very quick glimpse there from MANUBACHOORE. A bit of a wry smile, you would say, towards the end of the first 45. It looked to me like he had a good chance with Kevin De Bruyne, however, then spiralled the ball out wide, and any sort of chance he did have quickly went away.
Well, let's have a look at what we missed. If you have just tuned in, this was the big chance which, as you said rightly, Richard, would have completely changed the game. It was R9 that had a shot. Wasn't time green, but regardless, it was still a ridiculous save.
And look, 6 minutes in the game. The deadlock was broken. Trivela from Mbappe past the keeper. Nothing you can do about it at all. 7 minutes later, green times from R9. Hits the top left corner. And MARK11, 2 goals to the good.
And the best FIFA of his life.
He's in again.
Looking for a third. Their player Mark, who might go down as the best signing ever, Richard, in the time that he's put pen to paper officially.
Talk about making an impact.
I think we'll see a player make more of an impact than what this man's done, regardless of this result.
If that was Green, the chance that Mark had, you're probably looking at 3-0.
He's the player out there a couple of times, there's MARK11. Just to give Bruno Fernandes more time, looking for a third De Bruyne into Pele was the idea. There's the heart rates coming through on how he is feeling. Remember that he's been in some pretty high scoring affairs, as MANUBACHOORE, when he did throw away a 5-0 lead. In a match up yesterday. This could be dangerous. Mbappe, such a high line from MANUBACHOORE. Was he able to capitalise on it? You have just tuned in. It's the World Cup Grand Final. MANUBACHOORE, MARK11, one of these two will be world champion this year here in Riyadh. In the 16th FIFAe World Cup final, FIFA Interactive World Cup final, could be on for a third. R9. So good in those areas, isn't he, Mark?
It's just unpredictable with what he may do. He's got the cancels in his locker. He can pull out a very quick elastico or reverse and just change the complete direction of the attack. One thing you'll notice as well about MARK11, he seems to love the ball, especially with his right back, just almost going backwards at times. Doing a few step overs, waiting, holding possession.
Just as so. Making this look like a pretty smooth first leg so far. Loads of space out here for Hakimi. He's the way back in the time for MANUBACHOORE. There's the car back, there's Mbappe, there's R9! He was desperate for something to fall his way. And that's the goal. To just regain some confidence in the match.
And it's some goal as well, the extra pass. Perfect. In the build-up, pretty much a guaranteed finish from R9. Just stick it on target past the keeper. And I said in the first half, MANUBACHOORE just needs a goal, whether it's at 2, whether it's at 3, to settle himself into this tie. I'm very intrigued to see how he now builds on that goal.
On the other side of it, how Mark
Rebounds.
Davies offside. Into the pause menu we shall go. 22 minutes left here in leg one. And we'll just hide that. MANUBACHOORE looking to add some fresh legs onto the pitch.
And you're just, sorry, glimpse there, MARK11 watching back the goal he just conceded. Bit of an instant VOD review, seeing what mistakes he might have made and utilising the entirety of that 90 seconds as now bringing Denman into the conversation, and they're talking over the goal that made it 2-1. On the other side, Manu and Renzo, very little chat at this juncture.
I mean, Denman's done well these last couple of weeks as well, hasn't he? His players have gone the extra mile.
Coach of the year?
I'll tell you what,
If it goes on Wednesday.
there's an argument to be had.
Just seen a controller change there.
Okay, it wasn't quite right there for Mark. Well, if you score 2 goals with that controller, it worries me to...
If he concedes, what back?
Swap it back. I was doing a little bit of build-up research onto this game. 3 grand finals in his career MANUBACHOORE has played. 2 of those happened in the Netherlands with the Eredivisie, which he did win both of them. The only one he has lost was 5 days ago, where he may not have played much of the final. He was subbed in late into the tie for Levi de Veer to try and flip the game on its head. As we know, Brazil were world champions there. On the other side for Mark, in terms of LAN finals, if you're a FIFA Esports fanatic, you remember last year in the Team of the Season Cup, he played in a 2v2 environment with Mike J, who was in this tournament for Dire Wolves. The other final was in the Australian E-League this year, where he went on to go and win that tournament in terms of what we've seen in the last 12 months from him. He's been a player that's had incredible momentum this year. This has been his standout year, and I mean, look, this completely changes the game for him, really.
I think if you look probably, what, 16 months? April, the Team of the Season Cup. We're now in July the following year. It has been a meteoric rise, it has to be said.
And the conversation is about Oceania players that we don't see is because they can't really play in anything. But being brutally honest, what can they play in the playoffs? We see him for 2 games or 3 games, depending on the bracket run he has, and then the World Cup.
It used to be FIFA 18, FIFA 19, where we had multiple global events throughout the year, whether it be Marcus Gomes, Marco. I think we saw Jazz a few times as well.
Jamie came for a few times in Bucharest.
Whereas now, yeah, you're absolutely right. We've played a lot of these qualifiers region locked, and maybe just doesn't get the optics that he deserves.
And that's why
talent that's over there.
And that's why I look at this 24 list of players 4 days ago, and you just naturally don't put Mark maybe into a championship final, and it's arrogant of me to do that 3 days on.
He's proved everyone wrong.
Absolutely. On the other side for MANUBACHOORE, 21st in Europe, has won mainly trophies in the Netherlands. This is his time to set the mark. That goal certainly would have given him the confidence he would have needed. De Bruyne in a battle. And he's the fellow Dutch player De Ligt that comes out on top for Footwiz.
He also finds himself in an interesting situation within Team Hullet where competition is so rife between that team. Everyone's sort of wanting to get to the top, and whether it's Levy, whether it's Emre Yilmaz, this is his moment. No one around him. He's got one person behind him in Renzo, and this is his time to shine.
Lizzie on for an equaliser, Richard. De Bruyne back inside to R9, defended well. All the way through there. But you're right, I mean, look at the 3 individuals. Levy, great 2v2 success this year. Look back to that online era. What was it, 2 European Cups back-to-back online. Emre Yilmaz, it's been all about him in the last 12 months. Here's Mbappe for a second! MANUBACHOORE is back alive and breathing in this FIFAe World Cup Grand Final.
And what a grand final.
We expected goals.
But it doesn't always deliver.
Attack.
It doesn't always deliver.
It does not.
This has been a first-class final. And we're not even halfway through.
The pendulum swings now. As MANUBACHOORE suddenly starts to get his goal-scoring form back. De Bruyne, cut back, Bellingham. Oh, Mbappe was ready to let rip. As we said, he already had one nail-biting affair against the Team Hullet player. It was Emre Yilmaz when he was steam rolling past him in the first leg. Emre Yilmaz came fighting back. Mark in the end just was able to pull away. Last chance of the first leg hit. 2-2 is the scoreline. This year's World Championship final. Hakimi in an unfamiliar left-back position. One goes out for a goal kick, and that should do us, Richard, for the halfway point.
Yeah, I don't think Manu's going to get one more chance. Mark wins the ball, and that will do us for the opening leg. And what a leg it has been.
Full time. Nothing to separate the two. I mean, at 2-0 up in 15 minutes, you thought this was going to go one way. As much as it was great for Mark in a grand final, you never like to see a blowout that early on to ruin the affair. MANUBACHOORE comes back, couple of tactical changes. Coach Renzo straight in to the tablet just to break down what he saw. Let's have a look at the highlights from that first leg, because we were right to say that, Rich. 15 minutes in, we expected there to be potentially a one-way swing in the tie. After this was saved, that was saved 3 minutes in from MANUBACHOORE, and then just an onslaught happened from Mark.
From the next attack, Travella past the goalkeeper for Mark there. And you see the time in the top left corner. It wasn't much longer after R9, green time to finish, past R9 to go 2 goals to the good. It took Manu a long time to get back into this tie. Hakimi down the byline, beautiful pass, cutting open that defence. The power was just so delicate, it led into his path without any need for an extra touch. Mbappe with the second, in off the post. And that is where we leave our first leg, 2-2. What a game!
It's the best of one now, really, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
It really is. 2-2 is the scoreline. Remember, biggest FIFA tournament we have ever seen. $1 million prize pool this has given us this World Cup. 300k for first prize. A FIFA player has never won that amount of money from one tournament, which says enough. But both of these two, I don't think, are feeling any of that pressure as it stands right now.
I also think they both know that they've already been through the fire in this tournament. They've both come out the back of a penalty shootout. Not necessarily that there's a lot of pressure on them, but they've made it to a grand final of an World Cup. 2 players, you said it, I said it, everyone at home probably said it, unless you're Australian or a Dutch FIFA fan. MANUBACHOORE and Mark weren't the picks coming into this tournament.
You just go through the list. Tex, Anders, of course, in it. Nicholas on that list as well. Remember, Ume didn't even qualify for this year's tournament. We didn't see any other German names here. Emre Yilmaz fell yesterday early into the tournament. There's just been loads of upsets and shots along the way.
The tournament's opened up and these two have taken the opportunity. And they've done it very well. When you look at the performances, the level that they've almost got better every round. Yes, the round of 16, exquisite. It's got to be said. Abu Maka didn't turn up.
No.
He didn't turn up. He lost 10-2. You put that to one side. You then 5-0 up against RVP and he brings it back to 5-5. Both players have exhausted so much of their FIFA talent on that stage. And for one of them, they've got to go again and they've got to push over.
Richard Buckley.
Talk to me.
There was a group of death, wasn't there?
There was.
There's one man from that group of death. Where did he finish in that group? 4th. He crawled into the knockout stages in the last game.
Mark, on the other hand, though, wasn't super convincing in the
I
groups.
completely agree.
Neither of these two players finished top. They didn't walk through the groups. It has been battle after battle after battle in this tournament.
Just a case of get to the knockouts. And that's what MANUBACHOORE was saying. He was in the same group as his teammate and fellow Dutchies. Came through 4th. 18 years of age, playing for this pressure. You can just see him shaking, drinking his water.
Both players under 20.
And about to win some ridiculous money. Already guaranteed 150k for getting to this stage. And look, we can build the narratives. 2 players deserve, as you said, through penalties, through unbelievable matchups in the knockout stages, horrible matchups in the knockouts. Just kept on battling their way through to this game now. It's a best of one. You can argue it all you want. 2v2. Sorry, 2-2 was the score in the first leg. Second leg to be played. 6 minutes a half for 300k and a FIFA World Championship. Everyone always talks about what is this tournament different to others. This is a tournament that you could retire after and people will remember you for years, for decades.
You look back at some of those previous winners. Our very own August Rosemeyer, people still coming up. How's it going, champ? That name, it doesn't go anywhere.
It changes everything.
Absolutely. Bruce Granek, Alfonso Ramos, 2 times winners. Umut, Mo Auber, Gorilla. You live long in the memory. And one of these 2 players join that historic list.
Absolutely. Australia, it would be record-breaking. First ever Oceanian FIFA World Champion. It would be. And there was a couple of technical pauses in between the legs, just giving the players a bit of time to breathe and regain some tactical insights from their coaches before we jump into this second leg.
I think we're close. Headphones are on. Earbuds are in.
There's the thumbs up from the referees. Stay with us, people. Wherever you're watching from around the world, this is the biggest game of FIFA of the season. The biggest leg of FIFA that these two will probably ever play. I mean, I was saying about it earlier on commentary. The chance of making it to an E-World Cup, especially if you're from Oceania.
Not only the E-World Cup, but this stage. How many players have ever gone back-to-back, even finals, in the current era? Dossering, 18 to 19.
2 Australians out of 64 that qualified for the playoffs. They had to battle it through.
Yeah.
Just honestly, you can sit all day and argue that. It's ridiculous against the odds, and they keep delivering. Back on the way. Oh, we want for an early start from Mark. Little cancel there of the shot. Mark representing Team Footballers, of course, from left to right. MANUBACHOORE of Team Hullet defending his first attack. 2-2 is the aggregate scoreline. Goes for a corner. First corner of the game. Going the way of the Aussie. Pele. Finds Bruno Fernandes. Pele again. There's the step over exit. He timed it green, but the lip was in the way. Another corner. This time on the opposite side of the field. Step overs, ball rolls. Pele. He's dancing around the box. Fortunately runs into Alphonso Davies.
Both players.
Oh no. Oh no. Scooped up, ball roll. Oh no!
Varane.
Rafael Varane, what are you doing there?
Just not the man you want inside the box. Both players started the first leg pretty promising. MANUBACHOORE first 3 minutes had a chance. Mike was 2 up after 15. And they look to be following the same tendencies yet again in the second leg.
As we said, no 5 back in store from these two. They want to play attacking FIFA. There's going to be chances. We saw 4 goals in the first leg. Is he onside?
Yes.
He is. De Bruyne. Is he going on his own? Ball roll inside. MANUBACHOORE! Sublime FIFA didn't need anyone else there and just backed De Bruyne.
The question was, is he onside? Absolutely. MANUBACHOORE took it down the wing, didn't want the cutback. The goalkeeper movement opened up that near post, and he rattled it past the keeper.
Hello. Mbappe. Very near. That ball from the right back, by the way, Rich, was incredible. 40-yard pass. Found Kevin De Bruyne. Now, for the first time in this game, Mark is trailing by 3 goals to 2. What has he got in the final third? Let's have a little look. So free-flowing in the box. Back to Pele. Big save, Courtois.
The keeper movement again moved him all the way to the near post. It's a bad loss of possession though from Manu.
The possession just comes straight back his way. As you rightly said, fantastic piece of goalkeeper movement. Back to De Bruyne on the edge of the box. There's those killers. There they are. Mbappe.
Oh.
Chance. Another massive save, Courtois.
Look at the FIFA on display. The one touch from MARK11. A shake of the head because he probably feels as though one of the 2 chances, the first one, the goalkeeper movement was exquisite. He predicted it, he moved and got his reward, Manu. The second one, maybe the only thing you can say, he's not green. But you're really splitting hairs. You see a pause we're currently in here. We're back underway with a corner.
Pressure. Back on MANUBACHOORE. One thing Manu will do is he'll break with pace and will break so quickly.
De Bruyne again. That's the out ball for him. That's the danger pass, it seems.
Keep an eye on that run there with Pele. Ooh. And he's got pace in abundance. Dispossessed again. And when you've only got 4 at the back and you've got a high line, numbers are going to come straight back out. This game has been played at 100 miles an hour. I attack, you attack. The best type of competitive FIFA we want to see. just have on screen there, you can see at home, the button combinations of these players. I believe that's the side of Mark. You should just see the passes being added in there. The pace of his controller. Wait until he gets skilling around the box. Hakimi does well to recover. 30 minutes of this game gone. MANUBACHOORE in the lead, still 3-2 in the FIFAe World Cup final. Watch out over there. The run was made. Now the right back's out of position. This is an area the Mark has tried to exploit with the likes of Pele. Doesn't have a choice but to go back all the other way around. You find the gaps in between the lines. There's an opportunity there for Pele to
just turn the wrong way. It's such sort of minuscule details. Manu read it well, to be honest. He stepped in.
Here he comes again, Mark. Last 5 minutes from half time. Mbappe, step over, ball roll. What's he got in the locker? Still dancing in the box. De Ligt in the way again. It's big defending from the fellow Dutchman. As MANUBACHOORE will look just to try and cruise into half time.
That's MANUBACHOORE sort of taking the reins in this game, being the, not necessarily the player holding on, but defending well, it has to be said. And the one word that will dictate the rest of this game, control. Who can control their emotions, the gameplay? Where and when this game is settled.
What a run that was from De Bruyne, just offside. It looked a little bit suspect. At a time of 1 minute, Mark, one more chance at this first 45 in the second leg. Has to move now. R9 and Mbappe just could not link up. That'll do us for half time. MANUBACHOORE, 45 in-game minutes away from being a FIFAe World Cup champion. Joining the illustrious list of talents dating back from 2004 to today. FIFA World Champions on a tournament that has been all around the world.
It was a very brief half-time period.
Well, it was 2006 where Andres Smith won an interactive World Cup, the FIFA Interactive World Cup it was back then. The third year in, funny enough, it was in Amsterdam where it was held. It may have taken 17 years to find another Dutch champion, but we're 45 in-game minutes away from that being a potential case. MARK11 though, you never write this man out. You can't.
Write him off at your peril.
Literally. You think he's going to be grouped, makes it through to knockouts. Think he's going up in the round of 16, wins and wins and wins. MANUBACHOORE looking for another goal to double his lead. Here's Pele now, trying to squeeze it through the smallest of areas. De Bruyne was the option there. That's poor, that one. From Zaha. Cross comes in, cleared away.
You just see, Manu was very quick to realise the running behind from Mbappe. He switched onto the right stick, moved his centre-back into the right position, and forced Mark to recycle and look for a different avenue.
Watching home as well, look at the control of that right analog stick, that player switch, and he's so quick. Here's Mark, Mbappe, looking to bring him back in the game. He gets in those areas, but just feels like he stalls for a split second. Don't get me wrong, maybe the exit of the skill move on that occasion didn't suit him as he would have wanted to. Big win. Bruno Fernandes. MANUBACHOORE tries to switch the play. Mbappe and R9 queuing up. Mbappe cuts it back. De Ligt. Oh! And Van Dijk just about get that one clear.
And it all came from a mistake. MANUBACHOORE went to switch the play. Bruno Fernandes stretching, winning possession back over. And then in that predicament, you ask, what else could Mark have done? I don't think a lot.
This is where the game gets interesting. Is it time for a pause or a change soon? Only one goal in it, I know. Well, there is the pause. It's one of them. He could have paused it about 10 seconds ago. Is MANUBACHOORE about to go into a 5-back to try and see this one out?
Frustration from Mark as well. You just saw there that pass potentially leading to a big chance coming in here. It's well defended.
Time ticking away. That sand timer has been twisted.
Manu was 2-0 down. Let's not forget that. He has faced adversity many times in this tournament and always seems to come out on top.
He's going to have a handful of attacks, though, still from Mark to deal with, such as this one. R9 finds Alphonso Davies, does well to give himself more space. Step overs, back to Mbappe. Elastico, still in possession, reverse Elastico. Van Dijk, ball bounced around the box still. R9 looking for an exit. De Bruyne, Van Dijk, twist. Oh, there's the one more pass. Bruno Fernandes was waiting.
Again, defended very well from MANUBACHOORE. Didn't really dive into anything, held his own. But the build-up play was really nice as well from MARK11. He recycled the play and then one touch. Very quick tempo to the passing.
Well, there's the heart
rate. Look at the heart rate, 154.
How you must be feeling right now in that situation, I have got no idea. No, you're 20 minutes away of FIFA time. Minutes of real-life time from changing your life. World champion, 300,000. This man is still so calm, by the way, just over 100 beats per minute. I think the situation that I'd be most worried about for Manu, Richard, is as soon as he gets in the box, trying to predict, trying to guess what he's going to do. The difference is now that you saw it in the pause, there's a 5-back from MANUBACHOORE, which is going to make it even more difficult for Mark to find space.
It also just doesn't have much time. You may be looking at 2 good attacks. When you partner that with MANUBACHOORE, then looking to get a big cushion goal to put him 2 goals up.
15 minutes left. Milinkovic, Savic, massive save. That could have been game, set and match.
Almost got him napping from the corner. It was a short one. It was Milinkovic, Savic, couple of step overs, open up the space.
That was his first touch of the game, Rich.
It was.
12 minutes to keep him in the tie, to keep Australia fans dreaming. He has battled his way against the odds for a difficult group, for a difficult knockout bracket. But as you said, for MANUBACHOORE, 2-0 down in 50 minutes in the grand final. Players would crumble at that.
He stood up and being accounted for. How's MANUBACHOORE?
And after an E-Nations final that was action-packed, he'll do everything he can to hold on here. Klosterman, Ross is here, Pogba, China! You never can count this man out.
0 reaction from MARK11. Ice cold is the Aussie.
Against the 5-back of MANUBACHOORE. Don't get me wrong, it was a fortunate bounce back, but it's the biggest FIFA game of your career. You're going to take that every single day of the week.
Wow.
The coldest man in the room.
What do we say? Never count him out. He always seems to find an answer. The man behind him who's shown a lot of emotion over the last couple of weeks in Denman. Very, very calm. And I'll tell you why. Because they came here for one thing, and that's to lift that trophy. The job is not done.
Oh, wow. 7 minutes left. What more have we got in this final? MANUBACHOORE, MARK11. They might get one attack each if they're lucky. First attack falls to MANUBACHOORE in the air. 2 hands on it from the goalkeeper. Well, both had to go for extra time and penalties in a semi-final.
Surely not again.
We were in extra time last year in Copenhagen, and it was a dreaded penalty shootout. By any means, it's never a fair way to end a game that is so tightly contested in a penalty shootout. But there has to be a winner somehow and some way.
Mark's going to get the last chance.
Last chance of the game. A goal that could be worth $300,000. A world title, a world championship. Is it his time? Seconds, 4 in-game seconds left to keep this alive. Is there a cross available? De Jong, back to Pogba. MARK11, Pogba. Extra time is needed here in Riyadh to find a world champion.
These two,
if that went in.
not only familiar with penalties from an hour ago, familiar with penalties against each other. The Netherlands against Australia.
What was it, round of 16?
Certainly was, and the Dutch came out on top. MANUBACHOORE was 7 minutes away from an World Cup.
He said that this would deliver, but maybe not to this level. 2 unbelievable FIFA players, mechanically so sound. Both enjoyable to watch as well, of what we've been treated to here. Extra time. Here we go. 6 goals wasn't enough to separate the two. Maybe 30 more minutes will do that for us. Mark looking to build his first attack in the extra time period. Pogba, who came so close to a match winner. De Jong finds R9. Step over. Or 2. Looks for the one more of Mbappe. Again, it's counted out. Not for that long, though. MANUBACHOORE pinned into his own half. Christopher Nkunku. The most unlikely of subs to come on. De Jong, R9, Van Dijk.
It's so tough. It's give the ball away again.
Mark with another attack. 3 of them in about 16 game minutes. Ball just pinned, ponging away around the box.
Doing a great job of sustaining attacks there, MARK11. One thing that is so hard to defend when he gets moving in the box, when the cancels come out, when the skill moves are apparent. And you have to credit MANUBACHOORE defending. Numerous occasions, he's been 1 moment away from unleashing a strike, 1 moment away from the extra pass. And Manu seems to find a way to put a player in the right position.
Mark is at least 4 or 5 attacks in this first 15. Potentially might have the last one of the half-time. Before the half-time whistle, an extra time of this first individual leg. He's conceded over 35 goals in the tournament, MANUBACHOORE, but continues to up his game.
He wants it, he will have a chance to go forward.
So much space on the right-hand side. Renato Sanchez comes on. Van Dijk is in the way at either end of the pitch.
I've got a feeling we're going to go to penalties.
Are we?
I've just got a feeling. There's just not a lot of time. There's not a lot of time. And I think both players, you can just see a little bit of nerves creeping in. Manu didn't really go forward in that. He didn't have the chance to. It was all MARK11 in that extra time period. Does it turn its head now? Do we get a MANUBACHOORE 15 minutes of pressure, trying to find a winner?
Here we go. 15 minutes or penalties to find a winner, to find a world champion. MANUBACHOORE, it's over to you first. Big pass inside, Milinkovic-Savic, what can he do from here? Where's that cutback? There's Mbappe, Renato Sanchez. Big tackle at the back.
It's such a risky offside trap. There was 4 or 5 white shirts that marginally might have been offside, but there were no markers near them for a split second. The confidence Mark has in those areas to turn out of danger is ridiculous as well. Numerous times he's been in his own corner flag, last man back, and he's just got so much bottle, to be honest, to turn out. If he loses it there, he's conceded.
Nkunku subbed on before the extra time period. It's bundled off the ball there. 5 minutes away from penalties.
He's got an overlap on the top side if he wants it.
Keep an eye on that run from Jude Bellingham. Does stop it now. Mbappe's there. R9 also queuing up. There's a through ball available. Doesn't want to go for it. Pogba might instead. MANUBACHOORE. This could be a massive moment. Pogba. Klosterman in the way. Oh my God, we're getting there. No, not again. Is it going to be penalties for a second year in a row to decide a world champion?
Maybe not.
Or one more attack for MARK11. And in time of probably a minute at most to come in. A moment to change your life. With one click of a button.
He's got a chance. No, penalties.
No. Penalties to the sides. A FIFAe World Cup champion. And it's MARK11 to step up first with Paul Pogba, who is taking all the time he wants to. Mark steps up first from the spot. Which way will he go? Saved! MANUBACHOORE, it's over to you. Is he going to be 1 from 1 in an E-World Cup final? Does score.
MARK11 with Mbappe. He took an awful long time in the last penalty. Steps up from the spot and it's saved again.
Oh,
Manu.
no.
Mbappe to go 2 up. Saved.
That changes things. That changes. Does go in. Mark does score. MANUBACHOORE. Down the middle. Into round 4 we go. Virgil van Dijk. Save this. And we're all square. MANUBACHOORE has to score. Does MARK11 has to score this one? Does. MANUBACHOORE, you score this and you are a FIFAe World Cup champion. Upstep Van Dijk saved!
We go again. Sudden death. Hakimi from the spot scores.
MANUBACHOORE is back to you. Score to keep yourself alive. Upstep Milinkovic-Savic, we go again.
This is incredible. De Jong. Saved!
MANUBACHOORE, score, and you are world champion! this year's FIFAe World Cup champion. There is a new name that steps up from the Netherlands.
That is what 4-5 years of hard work does. Team Hullet have their moment. Controversy on the stage. MARK11
There is
clearly
controversy.
angry, upset with the penalty shootout. We'll have to get to the bottom of this. One thing is for certain, MANUBACHOORE is the man on top of the FIFA Esports landscape. I kept seeing throughout the shootout, MARK11 turning around, and
The obvious complaint is
the penalties on the big screen.
penalties are on the big screen here at the arena. The talk is over the first few penalties. Could the coach see the pens? As far as we're aware, MANUBACHOORE is your world champion
That's
in
final.
the FIFAe World Cup.
Incredible.
But rightly so, there was a conversation. MANUBACHOORE, what a tournament!
He doesn't
What's
care.
a FIFAe World Cup, Richards? It wasn't a 0-0 this time in Copenhagen.
So the problem was with Mark. Whenever we went to his POV, you saw the controller in the top corner. There could have been a conversation had, we don't know. We're simply speculating, but that was what Mark was so angry about. He didn't want his POV being on the big screen here in Riyadh. We have to give you all the details at home. I'm sure that won't be the end of it. But that man on your screen is a world champion. What a tournament. What a 3 weeks we have had. And it's the conversations, as you can see, still ongoing.
This is, we've never seen this before.
Let's try and have a listen in.
Get that cameraman closer. There's a conversation between 3 or 4 admins there.
Head referee as well. Let's just wait to see what happens here.
MANUBACHOORE is like,
What's happening?
can I celebrate or not? Am I a world champion or not?
I've never seen scenes like this.
This is unheard of from the spot. Again, we need to get over there. Get back to the footways, guys.
have a solution for it. How does that make any sense?
Well done. Well, we've got a minute. That's it from the commentary booth for now. As far as we're aware, MANUBACHOORE penalty shootout win. This year's FIFAe World Cup champion. And for now, he's back over to the studio. What a game.
Lots and lots of drama then over here. Alex B, I want to just get your thoughts on what is unfolding then on the arena floor. Lots of drama between Mark there and Manu about the controller being on the screen. Tell everyone exactly what that means and what he's complaining about.
So Mike is one of the, he's one of the only players that has his controller input in the top right of his screen. What that means is when you go through to a penalty shootout, you can see the input overlay of where you're aiming, where you want to go on the saves, where you want to put it on that shot. So obviously Mark's concern was that during that penalty shootout along at the arena here, there is a very big screen that is showcasing the penalty shootout from Mark's POV. So obviously there was questions to be asked of, could Manu and maybe his coach Renzo and anyone else that may be involved give them an indication of where he's going to go, which you can obviously understand the frustrations from Mark.
And I guess my question is that down to the player to take that off, or is that a comp ops job to take that off?
You could turn it off before you go into the penalty shootouts if you pause it and kick the ball out, but you cannot pause before the penalty shootout starts, so that means Mark would have to hand over possession, which he's obviously not going to do. In terms from a comp ops point of view, there should not be an input overlay coming on onto the big screen for any point of that tournament.
Okay, well that's Alex then, just kind of trying to clear that up and let you guys know at home exactly what the thoughts are of the couch and what Mark is discussing there and is very, very disappointed about, as you can imagine, Aggie. Not ideal, but obviously we heard from Alex there, you can't change that off during match play unless you want to give, I guess, the ball over to the other player. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a tricky situation, definitely is. I mean, both players were super locked in, so you obviously are when you're playing a penalty shootout to win the World Cup, but yeah, it's a hectic situation, I guess.
I guess my point there, Alex, is that Manu didn't score every single one.
No, Manu didn't score every single one, but the first two penalties were saved. I think in terms of looking at the footage and the replay, like, probably we should have had Manu's point of view, so we didn't have that input overlay there, but at the same time, there's a lot of cameras in this room. They can have the conversations of saying, is it even possible for Renzo, for Manu to even turn around and look? I don't know. They seem locked in. I understand the frustration from Mark, it is, but I also, to my knowledge, in a lot of other broadcasts and FIFA Esports that we've seen, the rules, I'd have to get double clarification on this, state that a certain camera should be used, an input overlay shouldn't be on, but they're not always there. So I don't know. It's a very difficult situation, and it's overshadowing what is obviously a fantastic moment for Manu, should everything stand.
Yeah, very frustrating for both parties here, not just Mark, of course. Manu believes he's world champion, and as does Renzo. And right now, there's a massive shadow, like Alex said, just been cast over this massive achievement. So scenes down there on the arena floor. Mark is still very much sat in his booth, like he thinks he might get a chance to retake these penalties. Is that something that would ever happen at a World Cup, boys?
Me and Mike were chatting before. No, I don't think it will. There's serious conversations to be had between everybody in terms of, you know, how that's happened and why it's happened. It's just a very, very difficult scenario for every single party involved. If you're Manu, you're saying, I didn't look, Renzo didn't look. There's no way we could get that information across. But if you're Mark, when the first two penalties are saved, it's obviously going to feel hard done by.
Yeah, of course. We'll try and clear up all these conversations and problems when we get them. But as it stands, MANUBACHOORE is our FIFAe World Cup champion, and MARK11 would finish runner-up here in 2023. So Spen is down there now with some of the competition managers, just trying to understand fully a little bit more about what's at stake here and the implications and the rules as well, like Alex has just been telling us. Yeah, really disappointing for both individuals and the teams involved here. So I was just trying to see if I could have a little listen, but I don't think the mics are down there. But yeah, this is really unfortunate. It's never happened.
The thing is as well is that the rules state that if a player's got a problem in game, you raise your hand and you pause it and the referee comes over. You can't pause during a penalty shootout. Mark raised his hand twice. The referees were there. They obviously spotted the problem and then fixed it halfway through the penalty shootout. For Mark, I don't know what you're meant to do. You raise your hand, there's an issue, get off the screen, you know, don't show it. But by that point, you're in the biggest moment of your life, a $300,000 penalty shootout. It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know if we had some shots of Mark actually raising his hand. It would be good to see if there was a back-cam shot of that we could have a little look of, because we know that penalty shootout is super tense, and Alex was just saying there, you know, halfway through that he knew what was wrong and he tried to raise the awareness to it, and it was a little bit too late in his opinion. Maybe the comp ops didn't see him in time. Obviously it's really, really tense here in the arena, but this should have happened.
I suppose it's a situation that FIFA Esports has never found itself in, where a player has got an issue during a penalty shootout and you cannot pause it. The commentators don't know what's going on. They're treating it as it's a penalty shootout and it's the final thing. And obviously the opposition, Manu, he doesn't realise it. You know, he's probably just doing the same thing as well.
And it's obviously something we don't always see, is it? A player having those controller, what do we call them? Controller
input overlay
on the screen. It's not something we see only when we actually watch Mark, I think, for the whole 3 weeks.
It's actually something that I've said during when we go to telestration board, it'd be great if we could have the input overlay on for every player, but the only player, to my knowledge, that runs it is Mark.
So no official decision just yet, has just been fed to me. Mark there, actually, if someone could look on their phone and maybe have a little look at maybe what he's tweeting, you never know. So we're going to get the footage now of Mark. This is going to be just as I think extra time finishes. He now knows.
So that's where Mark spotted straight away.
Now he's seen it. He's pointing. Headphones coming out. Denman's seen it as well. Hand up 3 times.
The thing is as well, sorry to interrupt Rachel, is that Mark is also trying to still do his job of taking a penalty shootout when knowing that that's there. That is not a nice situation.
Yeah, his hand went up 5, 6 times there. So he made, you can see, I think, a couple of officials in the back. Obviously, they could all see this playing out.
And yeah, your head's elsewhere. You know, you're not involved. Every little fine detail in a penalty shootout and thinking whether they're going to go left, whether they're going to go right, whether they're going to, you have to take the step. You're trying to think about that, but Mark's obviously very concerned with what he's seeing there. The officials are having conversations. You can see the microphone raised, and there isn't a decision. No one's gone, yes, let's pause this, you know, and let's go back to it. I don't know.
Well, we do have confirmation then that the decision does stand, and MANUBACHOORE is this year's FIFAe World Cup champion. Possibly a controversial one, but that is the decision that everybody here is going with. That is your world champion. Renzo, as a coach, congratulations to the both of them there. 14 matches they had to win, to lift this trophy, to get this accolade. An amazing achievement for Team Hullet as well. What a season they've had. The E-Champions League title went to Team Hullet, as does now the FIFAe World Cup title. What a year for that organisation. And Spencer Owen is down there to chat to our winner, Manu.
Thank you, Rachel. Well, what a climax to this amazing event. Before we chat to him, we need to do the small matter of giving him the trophy. So it is my pleasure to invite this year's winner to collect his trophy. Officially, the best FIFA player in the world from the Netherlands, representing Team Hullet, the 2023 FIFAe World Cup champion, MANUBACHOORE. Congratulations to MANUBACHOORE of Team Hullet and Coach Renzo. Back-to-back penalty shootouts. Incredible scenes here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And we're going to go back to the studio to get your thoughts on this amazing conclusion.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, let's just continue to enjoy the scenes which are unfolding behind us. Obviously, we're saying it's, I guess, shrouded in a little bit of a grey area right now as well. And I just actually thought that I'd like to bring MARK11 in on this conversation as well. Mike, we know it's difficult and these things do happen. I'm not saying they should happen, but in football as well as FIFA Esports, you know, we see VAR decisions go the wrong way a lot of times. You know, the technology doesn't particularly work. This has been, you know, decided that Manu is our world champion, rightly or wrongly.
And I think the likely reality, you'd have to ask people in the arena. I don't think anyone's looking back at that screen. I don't know about signaling over, he's going this way, he's going that way. So I don't know that it necessarily impacted the final result, but it was distracting for Mark. And that's where it's frustrating because you have to be so locked in the competitive scene to get these types of results. Anything that takes your mental away from the task at hand is problematic. So you hate to see that happen like that, but I don't necessarily feel like the result would have shifted. I mean, we would never really know. We play a lot of hypotheticals here.
No, and of course it was.
But I don't think anybody was like queuing to Renzo or queuing to MANUBACHOORE to go this way or to go that way or anything along those lines.
No, exactly, and we know this team as well. They're a team that will love to do everything fairly and, you know, on that correct line. And Renzo, I'm sure, as Manu was, locked in to that penalty shootout, and that is the difference there. I think we're discussing on the couch that Mark couldn't be as locked in and have that same tunnel vision as Manu could, because he was aware of everything unfolding around him and maybe having a disadvantage.
Well, if anything, it's maybe a question for comp ops as well. We saw the replay, hands was raised on multiple occasions. I saw people signaling and talking, but it wasn't something that was able to stop or adjust in the moment.
It's a word that gets thrown around a lot, which is competitive integrity, and that's obviously what's at risk there with what's just happened. It's certainly something that all parties can learn from and make sure that something like this doesn't happen again, because obviously this is going to overshadow what for Manu has been a fantastic tournament, along for Mark as well, and that's going to be the most frustrating thing about this for everybody involved, is just purely that Manu was put on a performance, Mark has put on a performance, probably one of the best finals we've seen of all time, possibly. This time last year, 0-0, went all the way through to penalties. They delivered a 3-3 into penalties. It's very different.
I just wanted to draw your attention as well, the fact that the settings for Mark 11 were the exact same as in his semi-final when he also went to penalties there, which possibly is open to discussion as well. He obviously didn't have a problem with that because it ended up going his way.
It depends what was shown on screen then on whose POV we were getting, whether we were getting Mark's, because if it's Mark's, you see his input overlay. If you're getting his opposition, you don't see an input overlay for either player. So that's obviously a question to have there.
Yeah, exactly. Good point, Alex. I will try and ask for that information as well. Dejected scenes there in the FIFAe camp. Again, an incredible season for that organisation. They were runners-up in the E-Club World Cup. That was our first World Cup that we held here in Riyadh, and now runners-up again at the big one, I guess a lot of people say, the FIFAe World Cup as well. MARK11 and Denman there in that camp. Well, let's hand back down to Spen then, who's with Manu.
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I am next to the newly crowned FIFAe World Cup champion. It seems like forever ago, but let's remember, you were 2-0 down in that game.
Yeah, I was 2-0 down and playing very bad. I think Mark, if he had been a bit more clinical, he could be like 3-0 up. But after 2-1, I thought, like, I did this against Oben, I can for sure do it against Mark. And I came back 3-2 up. I think I didn't deserve to concede that goal. Like, at the end was a bit lucky for him, but in the end, well, what does it even matter? We have the trophy here, we have the shack, we have everything.
Talk to me about the emotions you're feeling right now. You know, it's something that you've been working towards for so long. Even though you're a young player, you know, this doesn't happen overnight, and you've done it. You're a world champion.
Yeah, I'm a world champion. Last year, quarter-finalist, with the feeling that there was more in the tournament. This year, I came in with less expectation than last year, and I won it. So it's all the hard work, and yeah, of course, every help we get at Team Gullit, the boot camps, all the players, coaches, Renzo, Jelle, Jelte, the organizations, Schalk, Corné, and Maarten. So it's also their trophy and a reward for all the hard work behind the scenes.
Now, Manu, I've got to ask you about this controversy that finished the game. What's your take on it? We've heard from the guys on the couch. You were obviously involved. What's your understanding of what happened?
Yeah, first of all, I completely understand this anger, because when you lose a World Cup final, it's never nice. And then going like that way for him felt probably even more hard done by. But at the same time, I was constantly looking at my own screen. I didn't look back one time, and Renzo was also not looking back one time, and he didn't even say a word. So even if he did, he didn't even say a word. So yeah, so I don't think it changed anything, to be honest. So I think for him it was something like harsh, I think. I understand him completely, but in my opinion, this is the only fair solution.
And I think it's important as well to not take this moment away from you, because you have earned it. You've been fantastic. You know, the fact that you came through 2 penalty shootouts back to back, the fact that Mark also came through a penalty shootout in the semi-final shows you just the level we're talking about here. And that even the 2 losing semi-finalists could argue that they might have had a chance of winning this because they took you to penalties as well. So it is unbelievable to operate at this high level in something that you've been working towards for so long.
Yeah, of course, the final, if we play tomorrow, it could be PSG against Auburn. For like this tournament, you need some luck, you need some penalty shootouts, you need something that's not in your control to win. And I think that happened today, thankfully. And yeah, 2 penalty shootouts. I'll never complain about penalties in my life again.
Well, listen, Manu, you have got the trophy. You're a world champion. There's a small matter of a cheque for $300,000, which we're going to present to you right here. What are you going to do with the money?
I think I'll go on a big vacation.
He's taking me. Renzo said he's taking it with him.
Then I have to, I guess, but we'll do it, no problem. I'll get my driver license, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, what I just said, I was already happy with the semi-final, to be honest. I thought, like, yeah, it's already improvement from last year, but to win it, yeah, nothing will ever top this.
A quick chat with Renzo as well before we go. You've coached him here, you've worked with him a long time, we've seen you in multiple events together. How proud are you right now?
I'm very proud because it's always tough whenever we have qualifiers. I'm working together with Levi and Manu at the same time, and I have to divide my attention. And I felt like for this time, Manu and I finally got together for the playoffs and for the World Cup to really work at it. And yeah, not taking away anything of Levi, but this guy just deserves it. I mean, the incredible talent and hard work that he puts in is just incredible. And yeah, he's got what he deserved.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can take away from the fact that you deserve it. And you want one more thing to say?
Yeah, this trophy is also Levi and Emrys, because last week at the E-Nations we unfortunately didn't get it. But they helped me believe to get to a semi-final in such a big tournament, because before I didn't get to like the championship days. And they made me believe and helped me a lot, so this is also theirs.
And also one more thing, this guy did it in his year that he was doing exams. Just imagine that.
Incredible stuff, it really is. 18 years old. Teamwork makes the dream work. In this case, it's Team Hullet who take home the trophy along with MANUBACHOORE as the new FIFAe World Cup champion. What a final, what a tournament, what a few weeks here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Back to you guys.
Well, it's had it all, hasn't it? What a moment for that young man. Achieving his World Cup dreams. And Renzo as well. What a journey for both of them. 28 matches Manu has contested in his 2 weeks here. Obviously, last week with the E-Nations as well, getting all the way and just falling at that final hurdle. And then 14 matches over the last 4 days as well to lift that trophy. Such an achievement, and so many names coming out of that Team Hullet camp. This is just another one to add to their CV.
And that's where I was going to take this conversation a little bit. We always talk about what are the best nations, what players from which nations are performing at the highest degree. I think it's impossible not to mention Netherlands in that conversation, both in the 2v2, the 1v1, the amount of players, the quality and the quantity. And it's been over 15 years since we've seen a winner at the FIFAe World Cup. It was FIFA Interactive World Cup back then with Andre Smit from 2006, to give you an idea how long it's been since we've had someone hoisting the trophy from Netherlands.
Yeah, it's an incredible moment. Alex, I'm just going to bring you in on Renzo as well. He's had quite the journey, hasn't he, over the last couple of weeks. Finally, he lifts a World Cup trophy with Manu.
Yeah, he does. Obviously, he's had that silverware already at the Masters with Levy and Olilito, but this time around, this one will feel a lot sweeter for him. You just have to give credit to Renzo and what Team Hullet have been doing. The players that they bring through that academy, and they just nurture them and they bring them up to just turn into what is now fantastic FIFA players. Renzo's probably one of the more active coaches. He's happy to tell his players, pause it, I want to talk to you, I've got something to say. And that, to take a lot of ownership, that is a big thing for him to do, and he's relishing that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Spen's just joined us as well up here. Spen, obviously you were down there when all the drama was unfolding. Kind of been nice to be in amongst that. How was the feeling down there?
No, it's one of them where I think first things first, you have to say that no one wanted that to be the way it ended, and I completely see both sides to it. I think Mark has, cause for complaint, and I think Manu genuinely didn't do what Mark thinks he might have done. And there is no winner in that situation. I've got to first say, you know, we're very close to this on the ground every day, and I, particularly being on stage, talk to the refs regularly. They do a fantastic job. They have to work in some really difficult, challenging situations, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, to be honest. It's very much like real football in that sense, where, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I think they made the right decision based on the factors in front of them, because as much as you can argue Mark has cause for complaint, I think Manu would have just as much if they made him do it again, if that was even an option, because there is no proof against him. And likewise, and they looked for it. They did check to see if there'd been any, you know, looking at the screen and whatnot. I think the fact that, and I take Alex's point that the previous match might have not been on the screen and shown his display with the controller on screen. The fact that he come through a penalty shootout before and maybe had the opportunity to think about that issue. The main thing is it's Mark's choice to display that on the screen. And we maybe should talk to him about why that is. It's probably because it's something he's used to from when he plays at home and all these things. But it's not something that was done to him, if that makes sense. And I think that's where it...
I think where...
Alex, can I just say as well, it was on the screen during PH's dinner, just to confirm. Sorry.
I think where a lot of people at home are going to say, yeah, you're right, like, Manu, especially with the microphones that we've got, the team are surely going to have checked, did Manu and Renzo turn around and look, and they didn't, and I can agree with that. I think where the conversation would then go is, Mark's head was not in that penalty shootout at that moment, which obviously in such a big penalty shootout, that's something that, you know, is definitely something to think about.
Aggie, it's difficult, isn't it, to win a World Cup under those circumstances, but Manu has done it. I mean, I'd love your thoughts on what kind of we saw there, and, you know, you've been in that situation, you've been a world champion. How does Manu and Mark feel right now?
I mean, both players have different feelings right now, obviously. For Manu, I just want to say congratulations. I mean, he's the new FIFAe World Champion, and regardless of how this final turned out, he's been working to get here, and he's been performing excellent, and I'm very happy for him. And at the same time, for Mark, it's an unfortunate situation, and he can be very, very proud, and I think he'll look back and be happy overall still.
I think what's most important when things like this happen is that you have to learn from them and you have to work out how you can avoid it happening again. And I can see two immediate solutions to this. And I completely take your point, Alex, about Mark not being in the right mental headspace. I think the reason this is a debate is that we're not going to come up with a conclusion here, because otherwise the decision would have been made like that. There's always going to be an opinion on it. I think the first thing you say is that it was a Mark issue as to why he was not in that headspace, because he chose to put himself in that scenario, rightly or wrongly. That's just a fact. He chose to have that on the screen. So I would suggest going forward, it should not be an option to have it on the screen at tournaments, first of all. And they maybe need a protocol for when someone has an issue in a penalty shootout. That's the second thing, because he was saying he put his hand up and no one noticed it. And that's where he could have an issue if because, you know, the game ends and it literally starts the penalty shootout straight away. And there maybe needs to be an option to pause it or something.
The problem that we have with that as well, though, sorry, Mike, is that if a player has an issue in game where they say, like analog stick, I've had it before at home, where your analog stick just gets jammed and your player runs away and you're trying to point somewhere else, you need that input overlay to say, that's not what I inputted, or if I press pass and nothing happened, like, that's why some players will choose to have it on. But obviously, yeah, you're right, it's a conversation of, well, how do we then get around that? And maybe it's having, from a broadcast point of view, a spectate mode where we're seeing just the gameplay.
I think there's ways that in the back end that maybe they could see it without it going on the display. Likewise, you need maybe a live director to make sure that the screen doesn't have that person. But if you say no one can have it, you never have that issue ultimately. And I think, listen, we won't. There will be opinion. I'm sure there's people in the chat saying they don't agree with me, but the referees have to make a decision. And for what it's worth, I understand the decision they made. And I really don't want this to take away from Manu, because we heard from the words from Renzo there and the commitment this lad's put in, 18 years old, world champion. It's an unbelievable story. If one penalty had gone a different way, or he'd scored, you know, at a different time, it hadn't gone to shootout, all we'd be doing now is waxing lyrical about this young lad from the Netherlands.
And sport isn't...
What makes it so debatable is because the hand is raised as it's going on. So therefore, you had a chance to step in that moment, and that's the protocol of how to notify if something's not working.
And to add to it, from what I've read on Twitter, I think Mark raised his hand before the penalty shootout.
That's what he said down there for sure. Yeah.
Well, we're never going to get to a decision here, but a decision has been made. Obviously, MANUBACHOORE is our world champion for this year, and sport isn't without drama and controversy throughout sport and esports. So we're sticking with our decision, and let's have a little look then at exactly how that final played out. We'll start with the first leg, of course, here. Mark then ran away with it, didn't he, early on?
Yeah, they had back and forth. And I will say all the games today, I mean, you're talking about you could cut them. Knife edge, beautiful goal there. Lovely opener. Almost conceded to start the game. Mark, of course, sets the tempo outside of the boot. And quick passing, as you would expect. 1 is good, 2 is better in the 16th minute. And at this point, you're thinking, is this going to be a route? Is he going to be able to add to it? You see a big switch of the pitch. Manu, a lot of space to work with. Hakimi looking for options. Can he find them? Of course he can. Quick passing. R9 slips in behind. That's never going to be a good scenario or a good situation. That's the guy that's always going to be converting.
Yeah, and it was all about Manu coming back in that first leg. The lovely step overs in off the post. 2-2 going into that second leg. And it was about what can both of these players deliver on the biggest stage, the biggest moment of their careers. It was a through ball which saw Kevin De Bruyne walk down towards that byline, the ball roll, and then the ability to go on that near post and put it through. 16 minutes on the clock in the second leg. The movement, the footwork, and the chance coming through. But Courtois stands tall.
Couple of moments as well, a couple of big saves for MARK11 there, just to get back into it.
Yeah, chances where you think if maybe there was a green time finish there, you would have seen it ripple into the back of the net. As he knocked on the door, the defence stand tall for Manu time and time again.
What's the goalkeeper doing? Out of position, not looking nearly as athletic. Another layoff here. Who else? Your man Savage, step over, splitting the defense. He didn't think he had that in the locker, but he made it happen. And it's getting late. We saw some mistakes as well. Mark was obviously chasing the result here. Big takeaway. Pogba's made a big difference. As a super sub, he might have been the most impactful super sub we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Well, then we go to penalty shootouts, don't we, Alex? And this is where we're going to see the hand get raised.
And this is where I think our side of the couch has questions with this. And I want to say this for everyone at home. We're waiting on information the same way they're waiting for information. So before we comment and say this and say that, I wanted to see more of the picture, more of the lens, because I was just watching the penalty kicks.
Yeah. But this was the moment that saw De Jong put it straight down the goalkeeper's hands, and then the man for the moment, Manu Hakimi, steps up and gives himself a World Championship.
And last thing we'll say about this is it might have broke his focus, and that could be your argument. But I definitely don't believe at any point that we have Renzo or Manu looking at anything or getting codes from somewhere in the audience or something along those lines. And Manu said that in the interview, you know, that the result wouldn't have been different. He wouldn't felt it would be different. The debate is more so around the raising of the hand and then the focus side of things. But I don't think there's any suspect activity in the building.
I think
want to throw that
for
out
them
there.
to even have done that, they'd have to be thinking on such a 4D chess level, because they'd have to be deliberately not saving penalties, because they obviously would have saved them all, right? Because they could see on every single one, supposedly. So,
but also, who's triggering? Somebody has to trigger to you where to go.
To add to it as well, Mark was deliberately pressing shoot, not aiming where he wanted to go until the last possible second. So you're talking literally a split second of left, which would be so difficult to do. But yeah, like you mentioned there, Mike, that's where the conversation.
You need a protocol for if a player has a valid concern during a shootout. It's so fast-paced, they need to be able to maybe reset. I often think from a watching perspective, like the way the game ends and the shootout begins is too much sometimes. I think they need a little, like, why don't we have a pause like we have at half-time before the shootout? It doesn't have to be 10 minutes, because that would be a perfect opportunity for Mark maybe to raise that concern. And if he didn't raise it in that area and then went in, he'd have no complaints because he would have had the opportunity.
And that would be so easy to introduce, because if you play offline, you do have that pause. Before you go into penalty kick shootouts, both you can actually move and assemble your kick takers, and then you have to go into it. You have to both commit at the same time.
Well, this is always going to be margin of controversy.
There's a lot happening here on the couch today.
I mean, we do have MANUBACHOORE as our FIFAe World Champion. I just want to as well say congratulations once again to Team Hulit and to all of us here. What a couple of weeks we have had in Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's been pretty special. We've named not one, but 3 world champions. RB Leipzig, Brazil, and now MANUBACHOORE. I mean, thank you guys for joining us on this amazing journey. Shokron Laka as well, thank you to everybody who joined us this year on our FIFAe World Cup journey. It has been quite the ride. I'm going to say once again thank you and congratulations to our 3 world champions, RB Leipzig, Brazil, and finally MANUBACHOORE. And thank you as well to Gamers8 and Saudi Arabia for hosting us this year. And from all of us here, once again, thank you so much. Good night, and we'll see you soon.